Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa, and on this channel, I talk about the comics that I'm making. Right now, I'm making a graphic novel. If you've been following along, you know that I've pitched it, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm also working on a shorter comic about a witch and a cat. But right now, I'm going to talk more about the graphic novel. Because just because I pitched it, like, doesn't mean that I'm completely done with it. I heard from other people and friends in publishing and such that agents kind of take a break around the holidays and pick up projects again in January. So it might be like a bit of a downtime while I wait to hear from people regarding the pitch. So I figured it would be a really good time to kind of dive deeper into my characters and also show you more about them. I should probably give you a little bit of context. So my graphic novel is basically about this alien planet called Ambos. On this planet, every year there's a graduating class of students who went to cadet school. They have to graduate and take this exam, and then based off of their scores in the exam, they place in the Space Guard, which is the planet's defense against the enemy nation that they fight against. The enemy nation is called the Obai, and there are constantly threats on this planet, and basically the only line of defense is the Space Guard. And the main character of the novel, whose name is 03, and for context, here's what 03 looks like. That's the main character. She has been training to be a part of the Space Guard for like many years, and so she's really excited that this test is coming around, and she wants nothing more than to pass and start with the Space Guard. She has reasons of her own, but everyone knows that that's a really big, important goal for her. So much so that she doesn't really even know much about her class. And she's also a farmer. And so around her job and then her farming work and her schoolwork, she doesn't really have much time to kind of like hang out with friends and stuff. But everyone knows that she's super focused on becoming part of the Space Guard. But then on the other hand, we have this character that I'm going to talk about, whose name is Xander, and here's what he looks like. So the thing about him is that he is also in 03's class, but he doesn't really want to join the Space Guard, and I want to kind of explore more like why that is. So in this video, I will be showing you kind of my process behind designing characters and how I kind of learn a little bit more about them, and I'll be sharing the thought process behind how I came up with Xander as a side character. Because eventually throughout the series, he becomes a main character as well, but I'm kind of trying to plant the seeds of his personality in this first book. So let's get right into it without further ado. So here are some early sketches of Xander. When I was first thinking him up, I thought that he needed to exist because the main character 03 is brave. He's brave and she's confident, and she has her reasons why she wants to join the Space Guard, but she keeps her goals really kind of straightforward, and there's not a lot of nuance to the main character 03. So I felt that there needed to be a foil character to her, someone who is not as clear about what he wants, someone who's kind of just existing, kind of just going with the motions, you know, because there's a lot of people like that among us, like when you're in high school, when you're in elementary school, even beyond, like when you get your career, some people just don't really know like if they're in the right career or if they're like doing the right thing with their lives. Even though you think that like not knowing where you want to be in life is not a good thing, I feel like that's just capitalism, like, and how we were kind of all conditioned to say that we want to do something when we grow up. I feel like that's just that conditioning speaking to you. I feel like it's not necessary. You can just exist and just kind of be floating by on life as long as you're not hurting anyone, you know? I think that's perfectly fine. So that's why I kind of thought up Xander. I thought that there needed to be like the two examples of life in this book. He's just kind of really chill. He's a really chill dude. He wants to be 03's friend, but we'll see in the first book that he doesn't really know how to do that just because 03 is so laser focused, but that's okay. Other than 03, he has many friends. When he's going through life in school, he has always like so many guys and girls just like hanging around him. So you would think that he's like super confident, like he has all these friends and he's really popular in his program. But the thing is that he feels like he's obligated to kind of like have such a big presence in school, simply because other than that, like he feels like that's the only thing that he has going for him. Like he has a really good social game, but he's not really confident in his physical abilities. He's kind of more of a slender guy. He's skinny. He doesn't have much like muscular definition on his arms and whatnot, and that kind of hinders him from his classes because in the cadet academy, like it's all about physicality. You have to be like either really fast or really strong, really agile. Those are all things that 03 is really good at because she trained like most of her life for that. But Xander is just really not that physical. But he's really creative and he's really he has a good social game and he's very intuitive and he likes to make everyone around him feel at ease. He's really good at like reading people and he wants like the best for all his friends around him. But he himself doesn't think that he can really do well in the Space Guard because he's not physically strong. He doesn't know where his creative like attributes can actually like where can that fit for the Space Guard. Because to give you some more context, the Space Guard is literally like the army for this nation, the army for the planet called Ambos. They have to have a Space Guard because they're currently under threat from their enemy nation called the Obai. So they literally have these kids like trained to join the Space Guard from a young age because they constantly have to have a supply of basically fighters. Like they always have to be on guard. There's never a season where this planet can just like rest. So that's why you have to be physically strong and why he thinks that like his being creative is not helpful, because basically he's been told that his whole life. And his dad, like, just to give you some background about his home life, and I'm also like sketching some of the stuff about his home life while I'm talking about this. But at home, he basically has his mom who is like really hardworking and, you know, provides for him and his brothers. He has 2 twin brothers and they're younger brothers. So he's the oldest one and he helps his mom, you know, every now and then, but he tries not to. He's not really home that often just because he's like so social and people are always inviting him like to different events and, you know, parties and stuff in school. So he's not really home too often. In his household, it's kind of like unspoken, but he's kind of obligated to do well because his dad is in the Space Guard right now. And like, yeah, so that's kind of like the path that's on for him. So he feels like he has to join the Space Guard. Yeah, but kind of all that stuff about his home life and like family expectations and whatnot. I don't want it to like be too much in your face in the first book. We just mostly see him at school and see how he's popular. And we mostly see how he just basically wants to be everyone's friend. So in these sketches, I'm kind of exploring his personality a little bit more than you would see in the first book. And it's basically a pretty good practice to do this. Hopefully you do this as well if you also make stories, but it's a good idea to kind of draw your character multiple times, just because by drawing them and seeing how they interact with things, you draw them interacting with their environment and with their peers, their parents, their friends, because basically how people interact with other things is their personality, and personality is the main goal for when you're making a character. You want to show their personality, and because once you show that, like people with the same personality will relate, or either like not relate or hate them because they don't understand them. Once they have a personality, not necessarily good or bad, that's what you want, because that will allow readers to connect themselves with your characters. And it doesn't have to be anything like super concrete when you're sketching these characters. Like, as you can tell, like these are just sketches that I just put a couple rounds of color over. I also usually start off in my sketchbook doodling these characters just absent-mindedly while I'm doing other things. So yeah, do you do that? And how do you kind of find out more about your characters? Like, I know some people who write, like, they don't really sketch them out at all, really. They just kind of write a whole like backstory first, and that's kind of how they see them. But for me, I always start with like the art, because I feel like the art, like in the design, kind of informs like how someone will act. Their design kind of like lets you know a lot about how they're gonna be, and I kind of just run from there, and then I start writing. But I usually always sketch them out first and draw them out in my sketchbook. So yeah. Also, like, what kind of character are you? Like, I feel like it's interesting how I have these two main characters, and I mean, I created them both, so I have elements of both of them, but I definitely feel like I'm more like 03 because of just how straightforward she is with her goals, like almost to a fault sometimes. So are you like that? Like, are you like pretty straightforward about your goals? Or are you more like Xander, who kind of doesn't know his goals, kind of is more go with the flow, but he cares a lot about what people think and he wants to be liked by others? I think we're all like both of them in certain ways, especially like at different points of our lives. Like when you're younger, you might be one way, but then as you grow, you learn and you become more like someone else, or more like something else, and value different things. But I think the most important thing is that we're all growing, and I'm excited to kind of like explore that through the novel that I'm making. And, you know, because it's going to be like a long story. I don't expect this book to be done like this year or even next year, just because the story is so big. But I'm excited to kind of explore how they grow and how they change. So yes, I'm glad that you stopped by. If you made it this far through the video, thank you so much. I would love to hear your thoughts on Xander and 03. And if you are also writing a story right now, I'd also love to hear about that. I love hearing about people's like independent comics and about their stories in general, short stories. So please let me know. And I hope you guys have a great day, have a good week, and hope you can create something this week. All right, see ya. Have a good one. Bye.